Paragraph 27th chapter of the book of Tehillim. LeDavid Adonai Oriv Yishi Mimi Ira. Adonai Me'oz Chayai Mimi Efchad. So of David, again, is for David, is it by David? God is my light and my salvation. Who can I fear? God is the refuge of my life. Whom will I dread? I have nothing to worry about. I don't have to worry about these details. This is the person who has full trust in God. Now, the reason why this is recited by many, according to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur for the month of Elul, is the idea Oriz, Rosh Hashanah, Yeshiz, Yom Kippur, Ki Tzbeneni B'Sukkot later on, Sukkot, the allusion to the holidays of Tishrei. But more so, it's about the person who has full trust and faith in God. And if we're talking about Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, judgment, it's saying we have trust in God. God knows best. God understands what we should do, what we shouldn't be doing, what will happen, what won't happen, and will judge us. And we say we trust you, God. We have full faith. And this kapitel is really about somebody who has absolute, complete trust in God. And he demonstrates it in a couple of the next verses. B'karov alai mireim le'echol et bisari, tzarai v'ayvaili, hema kashlu v'nafalu. When the evildoers came close to me to eat my flesh, is this cannibals? Is it just some sort of a metaphor? They wanted to completely destroy him. Is it wild animals that he's talking about? You have this sort of idea in Habakkuk and in other places, right? They want to eat my flesh. Those who were my adversaries and my enemies, it was they who stumbled and fell. Heim kashlu v'nafalu. They're the ones who stumbled. They're the ones who fell. I didn't fall. I was just fine afterwards because I have God. Im tachana alai machane lo yirali bi. Im takum alai milchama bezot ani votech. If an encampment should come against me, right? The Plishtim are coming up. Think about the life of David. Everybody's terrified of Goliath. David, he's not scared. He knows he's got God on his side. He's a charmed person. Everything he does works out at that point in his life. And for a while after that, I'm not scared of their encampment. I'm not scared of them, right? If they want to wage war on me, this is what I trust. I trust God. There's a beautiful midrash that talks about the word bezot yavo Aharon el hakodesh. With this, Aharon will come to the kodesh, and the midrash goes and finds all of the places where it says bezot. Right, Vizot habracha, Vizot. It talks about all of these different places in the Torah and the Tanakh where bezot is, the word zot is before a some sort of ritual, some sort of good deed. And so here too, we could say that that's what this bezot is. What is David? What is he trusting in? He trusts in God. And why should he trust in God? As we said in previous chapters, because he is loyal to God and God is loyal to him. And so he has full faith in God, full trust in God, and he knows that he will make it through even the worst things in his life. Continuing verse 4, now verse 4, he's going to go from his trust to talking in Pasuk Dalet, his request now. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai ota vakesh, shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai, lachazot benoam Adonai ulevaker behechalo. I ask one thing of God. May I dwell in the house of Lord all the days of my life. The word shivti, like lashevet, usually it means literally to sit, but it means to dwell, to be there, to behold the beauty of God and to contemplate his temple is what I have here, to visit his temple. There are many who have pointed out that in the beginning of the verse he says, shifti, can I live with God forever? All the days of his life. And then at the end, he says, ulevaker, and to visit his heichal, to visit his temple. So if you're living there forever, then it's not a visit. And, a long-standing idea that has been explained in this verse is that, when you come somewhere for the first time, when you're a visitor, you're more excited. So David wants to be there forever with God, but he doesn't want to lose that sense of wonder, that sense of excitement, that sense of, oh my God, look at that thing. I've never seen that before. When you see something for the first time, that's grand, that's incredible, that's you are wowed by it. And here David wants that sense, is the understanding of why the description changes from dwelling there all the days of his life to all of a sudden being like a guest, like somebody who has just seen it. Continue in verse in pasuk hey, he will hide me in his sukkah. Remember, I said earlier, Ori, Yishi, Sukkah, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkah. That's what we say from Elul until Hoshana Rabbah, until Shmini Atzeret. So he will hide me in his tabernacle on the day, on an evil day, on a bad day. He will hide me in the shelter of his tent. He will lift me upon a rock. So even at the difficult times, God will hide me. God will provide for me. God will make sure that nothing bad happens to me. V'ata, and now, we're in verse 6, Pasuk Vav. Yarum roshi al oivai sevivotai ve'ezbecha bo alei zivchei trua ashira ve'azamra ladonai. And now my head will be lifted up above my enemies, even though they surround me. And I will offer in his tent, in God's tent, that is, sacrifices, along with the sounding of the truah, the sounding of the shofar, or the sounding of the trumpets. Right? It's going to be glorious. It's not just something that it's going to be public. I might be surrounded by enemies, but I trust in God so much that I'm going to be blasting the shofar, playing the musical instruments. Everybody will know where I am, and I'm not scared. I'm not worried. And I will sing the praises of God. So David is saying here in these verses, he's really talking about being with God, being there to offer sacrifices. He believes in the protection of God. He has full trust, full faith in God. Continuing verse 7. Shema Adonai koli ekra, v'chaneni v'aneni. So he says, God, hear my voice when I call, and listen to it, and show me favor. Turn to me positively. Answer me. Right? You don't want an answer that's a bad answer. You want an answer that's a good answer. L'cha amar libi. Bakshu fanai et panecha Adonai avakesh. My heart says of you, God. Right? My heart is like the emotions. Right? My heart says, look to God, seek God, seek your face, God. I will look for you. I want to understand you. I want to be in a relationship with you. I want to be close to you. We have this, the bakshu and the doresh. We've had many times where it talks about being doresh, about searching out, about looking for God. Al tater, we're in verse 9. Al tater panecha mimeni, al tat be'af avdecha, ezrati hayita, al titsheni, v'al ta'azveni, Elohei Yishi. Don't hide your face from me. Don't turn your servant away in anger. Right? Don't make me upset. I'm your servant because you're not paying attention to me. You have been Ezrati. You've always been my help, God. Don't abandon me. Do not forsake me. God who is Yishi, the God who provides salvation, the God who saves me. I don't want to be abandoned. Okay, and we see in times that God does, abandons the Jewish people. That word is used in different places in the book of Shoftim, the book of Shmuel, where God sort of will say leaves the Jewish people on their own. They don't have the special extra protection, and things don't turn out that well. David says, I trust in you completely. I trust in you fully. I know you're going to be there. I know you're going to protect me. It doesn't matter that the enemies are around. So listen to my voice and continue to be that savior, and don't forget me. Continue verse 10, Pasuk Yud. Ki avi v'imi azavuni va'Adonai ya'asfeni. When my father and mother have forsaken me, when my father and mother leave me, God will, in a sense, scoop me up. God will gather me in. Many people look at this verse and think of this verse differently. Unfortunately, after their parents die, you had your trust in your parents, a parent, and then who do we have that's involved in your creation? Who do we have that's involved in allowing you to live? Not the mother and father anymore, but rather God. And so even after everybody has abandoned him, friends, relatives, even the people who would never abandon a parent would never abandon another parent, David knows that he can rely upon God. God will be there with him forever to gather him up and to help him and to assist him. Horeini Adonai darkecha unecheni ba'orech mishor leman shorerai. Teach me your ways, God, and lead me on an even path because of my enemies, something that we've seen in the last number of chapters. What is the path to God? What is the way of getting there? And so he wants to be led on that path. right? He needs leading because he has the enemies around him. If the enemies weren't around him, he would know which way to go, but he needs God to sort of keep him on the straight and narrow so that others don't send him in different ways. We saw in the previous chapter where David says, kind of like the first chapter, I wasn't with the wicked. That's not who I am. I'm with the people who are on the straight and narrow, the people who are going on the right path. But here he says, even though I'm on the right path, I need God. I need your help to keep me on that path. Pasuk Yud Bet, Al titneni benefesh tzarai, ki kamu vi e de sheker vifech Hamas. Don't deliver me to the desire of my enemies, right? Don't give them over me. Don't let them have their way with me. They're like animals, is sort of what he's saying. Even when false witnesses have risen against me, and a wicked witness, even when people say terrible things about me, don't give me over to them. No, what do you mean it's fake news? It's not true. David is saying, don't let there be fake news. Don't let people say things that are not true. I don't want an aid Hamas. I don't want a false witness, an evil witness, right? You need to protect me, God. It sounds to hear that even at this time that this person, the Mishorer, the author of this kapitel, has complete faith in God, knows that it's not so simple. There are, unfortunately, many enemies for whatever reason who want to take him down. This doesn't sound like the little peddler, in the shtetl, somebody of prominence, presumably somebody who, like David, who maybe had many enemies, who had many people who wanted to see him fall down. Continuing verse in Pasuk Yud Gimel, Lulei ha'amanti lirot betuv Adonai be'eretz chayim. Were it not that I believed, I would see the goodness of God in the land of the living, right? If I didn't believe it, I do believe it is what he's saying. I know that I will see it. I know I'll be close to God in the land of the living, means the world to come. My father is buried in the cemetery in Israel, Eretz HaChayim. Many cemeteries are called that because they understand Jewish life of an afterlife, and therefore they are buried in the ground, but it's Eretz HaChayim. The body might be in the ground, but the soul is still alive, united back with its creator. So I trust God. I know that God's goodness is going to be there. I know that I'm going to endure. If it wasn't for this, with all these enemies around, it would be very difficult. But I know that I believe, I have full faith. I have emunah, I have full faith, and I support God fully, and that I will see the goodness of the future world. Kaveh al Adonai, chazak v'yametz libecha, v'kaveh el Adonai. So kaveh can mean wait, or it can mean hope. Oftentimes words means hope. You think of the word a mikvah, is right, the 40 sa'as of water is related to the word for hope, right? It's a renewal. You go into the mikvah, you renew, you become tahor. It's a similar word here, kaveh el Hashem. I wait for God. I hope for God. I have my full trust and belief. Be strong and let your heart be encouraged and wait for God. Right? It doesn't always happen on the first day. Sometimes it's time before you seem to get the response to God, before it seems that your life is turning around, before it seems that the enemies are no longer there. And so in this last verse, where David has said over and over again that he believes in God, he has full trust in God. He's saying, just continue to hope, continue to remain steadfast and loyal, and know and be strong that God is going to come. Don't be discouraged. Keep your heart strong. Be encouraged. You think about Jews who unfortunately have been in, we know, thank God, 1948, we made back to the state of Israel. Hatikva, the hope, right? Similar to this word, Kaveh al Hashem. There wasn't any hope. We wouldn't have ever gone back, but there was that belief, there was that waiting, there was that hope, there was that action that together with God, we could return to the state of Israel, and that we would see similar things like David says here, the belief and the trust in God. We trust in that we will continue to thrive even with all of the enemies who are around us, trying to not allow our path to move in the right way.